Now, speaking of Donald Trump, he is in the middle of even more political lawfare at the moment at the behest of the Democrats, having been ordered by a New York court to pay 83 million American dollars in damages to a woman called E. Jean Carroll, who, in my opinion, has rather dubiously accused Trump of sexually assaulting her in a public change room 30 years ago. And the reason he has to pay the damages is because she claims he defamed her by denying the allegations. Adam, what do you make of this situation?
Yeah, it's extraordinarily shameful, the whole episode, I think. And it reflects so badly on the US legal system, at least the civil side of the US legal system. I mean, as you say, he's being fined for denying a sexual assault claim from 3 decades ago, which can't be proven. I mean, that's insane when you think about it. So you can't even deny when you're accused of crimes. It's crazy, but that's actually true. So she's managed to convince, or her lawyers managed to convince a jury in New York, and it's not a jury of peers. They all hate Trump, obviously.
No, exactly.
I mean, 90% of Manhattan voted against him. So you can be sure that the jury is basically vehemently anti-Trump. So it's not a fair trial to start with. But anyway, the judge has convinced this jury that she has been defamed because he denied her accusation. I mean, it's wild stuff.
That is
and also when you compare it to other, there have been various accusations of sexual assault against former and current presidents over the years, and they've never had to deal with anything as insane as this. And I just think whether you like or loathe Trump, you just should be shocked that you can be fined $90 million for denying or saying someone's a whack job who just comes out of the blue and says you sexually assaulted them 30 years ago. I mean, surely that's what anyone would do, right?
Exactly.
Whether it's true or not, we have no idea. And it's 30 years ago. Statute of limitations is well past. I mean, she doesn't even know what year it happened, whether it was 95 or 96. So my suspicion is if something like that happened to you, you'd at least know the year.
Exactly.
So it's just, and of course the whole trial was funded by a Democrat mega donor, Reid Hoffman. I mean, it just stinks of politics, the whole thing. So anyway, I could drone on about it for ages, but I think it's extremely unfair. I mean, some of the other cases against Trump, they have a lot more validity, a lot more legal validity, and I think moral validity. But that one is just a shocker.
It is a shocker, isn't it? I mean, particularly, correct me if I'm wrong, but she started talking about how Trump allegedly sexually assaulted her in a public change room at a department store when she was a new book. She'd written a book had come out, and lo and behold, at the time she was trying to sell the book, she said, oh, by the way, Donald Trump.
That's right.
Yeah, go on.
In my view, it's clearly about making money and self-aggrandizement. I mean, she waited until 2019 to reveal this so-called crime in a book, and of course, it helped sell the book. You couldn't possibly say that wasn't a factor in her thinking. That just doesn't make any sense. But even then, she wasn't going to sue Trump. So she was just happy with the publicity. It's when she met George Conway at a party in Manhattan, and he's like an anti-Trump lawyer, and he convinced her, because he knows New York law, he said, look, you can actually sue him for defamation for denying it, and then the court will have to kind of adjudicate the facts. And that's what happens. And so she did, and there were 2 trials. There was one in early 23, and she won that one, and Trump had to pay $5 million. And then she sued him again because he denied it a second time on TV.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
And it was that second denial, and I think he called her a whack job or something. But big deal. Who cares? We'll get called worse things. We get called worse things than that all the time. Or at least I do.
I certainly do.
And I'm not suing anyone. But anyway, and for that second one, he was fined $83 million. So it's now $88 million, actually, that he has to pay. He's going to appeal it, but it's not, I don't think he's going to succeed because the appeal goes through the New York system, and I just can't see how they're going to, because they all hate him so vehemently. The Trump derangement syndrome is extreme there in that system. Look, it's it's probably going to hurt him financially, but I think politically it really helps him a lot. For an ordinary American out there in Ohio, Michigan, or whatever, looking at this absurdity that this old rich lady, and she's already rich, that she gets $88 million cash because of suffering from 30 years ago, and she doesn't even know what year it was. I mean, it's so grotesque, it's so disgusting that it's, you know, you just hate the system and want to support him more, right? And yet, funny thing this week is watching on CNN and all the networks about how this was going to hurt Trump because you know, because he lost. I'm like, you guys are deluded. I mean, that is a grotesque thing that happened. And, you know, to transfer someone all that money, I mean, the size of the sum is just despicable.
Yeah.
You know, the average wage in the US, $60,000 a year, and you have to work for a year for that. Whereas this lady gets $88 million because she said something happened 30 years ago that probably didn't even happen. So, I mean, it's just, it's wild.